Welcome to SHL Tonight. It's been a little while. Hope all of you guys have been doing just fine. Between my vacation, technical difficulties, just being like incredibly stupidly busy this summer. I apologize on behalf of the team for us to maybe taking a little hiatus. But hey, we're back. And what better time to be back than right before the SHL playoffs. So welcome to the SHL playoff preview episode. I'm your host, Ace. Alongside me, my wonderful friend, Nike. How are you doing, Nike?
Good. It's great to be here. Happy Friday. Launched the weekend. We had a great afternoon here in the Boston area. Got the boat in the water. Had a couple of lobster rolls for dinner. I mean, can you really beat it? But
I had D'Angelo's for lunch. If that tells you.
Oh, all right. Well, brag. We really don't have that many of those this way anymore. Most of the ones that were up here on the North Shore of Massachusetts were closed. So kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I was down in Bridgewater today because I had to go on a business trip, meet a client down there. So I was on the road for like 4 hours today because of the traffic in Boston. But yep, it was a day and a half. But I'm glad you were able to get the lobster rolls in, get the boat in the water. It sounds like a nice, productive Boston day.
It sure was. And we miss our other co-host tonight.
Yeah.
HFFO is moving, so everybody send your energy to HFFO because it has been quite the hot summer, and this is not the weekend to be moving, if you ask me.
Yeah, and be glad that you don't have to move because moving sucks. I hate moving. That's one of the worst possible things. Yeah, Rich is in the house. You did it, Rich. Way to go, buddy. DB says, get the clam chowder.
Yeah, chowder heads are here.
I do like a good clam chowder. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll save the bald jokes for next time. That's good. Yep, because decent head of hair still. But
we're hanging on for dear life, but it's still there.
Dude. Well, I got the receding hairline, but hey, we're good.
Don't pull it back. Don't show them the truth.
We're holding on. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. We're gonna have the return of power rankings going into the postseason. Shout out Slicer. So we'll have that to talk about. Want to go ahead and shine a light on some of the regular season performers as well. And then we're going to be talking about a few job openings out there, some pretty premier ones. Hi, Slicer, buddy. Appreciate you. And then we're also going to be, just kind of taking questions from people in chat and just shooting the shit, having a good time here this Friday evening. Before I segue into our first topic of the day, another shout out. Patrick and Toaster have been doing a really, really great job with SHL Tonight. They're going to be going live this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those Discord bots that automatically converts that time into your local time zone. So you're going to have to do that yourself. But 9 p.m. Eastern, check out SHL Tonight. So, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to look at some of the regular season performers of the season so far. And I'm going to do that.
Maybe Ace, while you're doing that, probably one of the most fun last weeks of the regular season that we've had in quite some time.
Was that fun?
The Eastern Conference battle for those last couple playoff spots. I think as of yesterday, we were doing some math just amongst the GMs, and there were 6 teams that were in it for the last 3 spots with the last day of Sims coming, and it's as less interesting maybe as the West was, generally speaking. The East race was awesome this year.
It was nuts. Yeah, I mean, we in the Nashville locker room were like, is there a chance we're actually going to maybe make the postseason?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things for me, I don't want to be a bummer or anything like that. But candidly, as cool as it would be to make the postseason, our roster was not in a place where anything could realistically happen. So this is probably the best case scenario because you've got a team that is arguably worse in the Western Conference that gets to punch their ticket and get a pick after us in the draft. So just talking strictly selfish reasons.
Yeah.
That's why we're okay with it. But yeah, it was a hell of a race going down to the finish there. It was a great time. And it just goes to show how much parity there is in the Eastern Conference right now, which is a great thing to see.
Yeah.
Sadly, the playoff streak was a casualty for Buffalo, but we are likely to get a good pick, so we'll turn it into something. I have no doubt, BV, that you and the Buffalo front office will do your due diligence in the draft and get another great player. And it's only a matter of time till Buffalo's back in the postseason picture with how many great foundational pieces you guys have. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, let's take a quick peek. We're going to dive in here. So stand-up performances, you got to start off with Freya Solberg, right? Freya was 5th in assists, number 1 in goals, leading the way by a wide margin in points. Definitely my pick for MVP of the regular season. And maybe that's just lazy because I'm looking at points here, but Edmonton was one of the outright dominant teams in the SHL throughout the regular season. And, when you have one of the leading point scorers, that certainly helps in that regard.
Yeah, I think that's like, when you look at the numbers, runaway, right? 13 points over the next closest and 5 goals over the trailing. So it's kind of hard to argue. It was fun probably about middle of the season with Kari and Nickelback being kind of there at the top of we thought we were going to have a pretty tight goals race probably in the middle of the season. And then the Solberg sisters really took off, I think, like a lot of people expected them to in the second half. And the points here are staggering. I mean, 130 points in a single season is awesome. Really crazy.
This is a good point by Slicer, too. Betsy Nickelback probably should get some attention for the MVP conversation simply because of, it's an expansion team. And granted, she went there as a free agent, circumvented the expansion draft as far as I'm concerned, but went there as a free agent, really helped them without a lot of support and put together a heck of a campaign.
Yeah. Watching Denver all year was maddening, but also really exciting. As a GM in that conference, I was a little bit nervous, like, oh my gosh, this team could really make a run. And I want, I want as many challenging games, but as many wins as possible. And they were exactly like the team that you were worried about early in the year because they just ripped off. I don't know. I have to imagine it was like 25 plus wins in their first 30 games or so. Like they were on a run. I know they slowed down a little bit at the end of the year, but I think that is a testament to all the work that happened there. Like really cool to see some leaders across the board from Denver and some of the other expansion teams. Like it's just cool to see folks find new homes and have success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just seeing some of the expansion people up here is really, really cool. I mean, Betsy Nickelback, I also noticed that on the power play goals, Nicholas Wassland for the Nashville Sound led the way there. One trend that I noticed, and I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention to this in the last handful of seasons, but it seems like the overall number of penalty minutes is down. Because, historically speaking, the Turd Ferguson trophy, which is the trophy awarded to the player with the most penalty minutes in a season, he was usually upwards of 160 penalty minutes and stuff. And we're looking at a 5-way tie for 68 penalty minutes this season between Elid Cove, Nostradamus, Ethan Cross, Matt Griddle, and JFFO. I guess you could probably say that Nostradamus maybe saw this one coming.
It's actually, I didn't even realize the change, Ace. I'm curious maybe if that's an FHM 8 thing that I just haven't noticed in more of the looking at more of the statistics coming out of the sim. I'm curious if last year it was similar. I'd love to have a quick peek. You stay here. I'll do a little.
Yeah, you go take research. a quick little gander there. Hodor doing Hodor things, leading the way with shots blocked again.
Yep.
Anna Skovgard leading the way in physicality, followed shortly by Edward Lavoie. So, but yeah, these are some of the ones that were just kind of sticking out to me. Plus minus obviously dominated by some of the top teams in the league between Edmonton and Atlanta. No surprise there. Yeah, well, if those of you in the chat, did you guys have any players that you really think stood out this season? I'm going to also take a second to look at the defensemen.
Yeah, Slicer's comment is pretty funny. We always expected, having drafted Bamford a number of seasons ago, that he was going to be at the top of that fights leadership board pretty much every year. So it's fun. It's fun and exciting to see him there. I know that that's what he wants to see every day when he logs in. Did I get in a scrap this afternoon?
Did I get a fight? Yeah. Yeah, we have a guy like that in Nashville as well. Goaltenders. It looks like it wasn't necessarily the year of. I guess it was just in time. Still, even there, goals against average, the best.
When I was looking at this yesterday, like 5 holes, 7 shutouts on the year.
Yeah, 38 wins for 5-hole civ.
Carried New England. Not that New England doesn't have an extremely talented roster, but what
Yeah.
a season-long performance for a tender that made a lot of starts, like really helped New England end up where they were in the standings. Like just an incredible performance. 7 shutouts in this era of the sim is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Shawnee says Lily, Froya, and Betsy should be MVP noms. I could see that being viable for an option there.
Yeah.
Shout out Peanut Butter Zamboni with a 31.75 goals saved above average, which is inherently going to happen when you're on a bad team and you're facing a lot of shot attempts. But I mean, 31.75, that's nothing to sniff at. And then right behind him, you have a player on a very not bad team who's just playing out of his mind.
The next two. I mean, we leaned on Gaia all off season or all season. Obviously she split time with Raph, but like that is a staggering number for. We played a pretty defensive game all season, and that number is still pretty great. So I'm actually surprised at the number of high GSAAs across the board like that. Though the number in the 20s here feels pretty high to me, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Other big shout out to Katharina Rosenthal, the backup goalie for Winnipeg, who's basically primed to take over that number 1 spot once Carpy finally sails off into the distance. So a 910 save percentage is nothing to sniff at. That's a great performance by Rosenthal this season.
Yeah, it is. How could you possibly foreshadow that that Carpy will ever sail off into the sunset? Because it feels like Carpy has been that number 1 goaltender forever and will be.
Right, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to give you guys a quick playoff primer here as well. So let me change what I'm presenting. Here we go. So welcome to the SHL playoff bracket. And we're going to go ahead and give our predictions here for each conference. That's right. Yep. An SHL Tonight episode in this economy.
Can't believe it.
No tariffs. No tariffs on SHL Tonight. So we're good. It didn't get deleted like the Epstein video. Texas, Chicago.
We could make that happen if folks really want. If folks don't want to see our ugly mugs, we could probably delete the stream.
Texas, Chicago. I know this is a little bit of an interesting one for you because you're the GM of Chicago. Just kind of curious about what you think about this matchup going into it and what you think will be the difference between these two teams.
This was probably my preferred matchup for the first round, not because I think Texas has a bad roster, but because Coop and the Renegades have given it to us more than a few times over the course of the last 10 seasons. And so I am eager to be perhaps on the other side of a first round series. I know that nothing is guaranteed in the playoffs, but I feel pretty confident that we've got a great roster. I still expect a tight series, probably 6 or 7 games, because they still have that core of players with the chemistry that really, I think, ticks up in the playoffs. So I'm hoping that Chicago comes out. I think that we probably have the better roster, but you never know. I still think it's going to be a tight series.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. But generally speaking, it's very rare for a first round upset to happen. So I echo your sentiments. Texas has been kind of like, they're one of the teams that I think has one of the strongest prospect pools or really young rosters right now. And they're definitely on the upswing. So their time will come. But if I would have to make a prediction here, I would say Chicago in 5. Nike, what's your prediction for this series?
Probably Chicago in 6.
Okay. I can respect that. All right. So there you have our picks. We both have Chicago advancing to the second round. And then we have our next series. We have the Seattle Argonauts and the Winnipeg Aurora. What are your thoughts on this series, Nike?
Seattle has the best defense in the league. I really have liked what Winnipeg has done over the course of the last couple seasons, like a really great up and coming team, probably still a couple pieces away. And I think Seattle's just been so hot lately that this one is probably one where they carry the momentum that they've had over the course of this last week of the season, and they probably get it done in 5 games.
Okay. I do think that Seattle's probably favored just based upon statistics and the standings right now. But I do think that Winnipeg has a few veteran players that could maybe move the needle a little bit. And I don't want to discount the goaltending depth that they have across both positions at goal 1 and goal 2. So I'm going to say I'll say Seattle in Seattle in 7. I'm going to give Winnipeg their flowers and give them a little bit of respect. Even though Sink told me that this isn't a year that they're going to try to contend, I'm gonna give the Aurora some flowers and say they're gonna make it a lot easier than maybe what some people expect. I mean, one of the games that they wrapped up the season with, I mean, they had a high flying victory, 9-6 over Philadelphia. So they know how to put the puck in the net, and if they can just dial it down defensively against Seattle, I think that they could make it an interesting series.
Cool.
But Seattle's a fave. I think Winnipeg can at least sneak 1 or 2 wins. I say 3 wins. I put Seattle in 6. Interesting, guys. Yeah, good picks. But it does seem pretty universal. Nobody expects an underdog story here, but if you guys do, just throw them in there in the chat and we'll talk about it. Next series, Edmonton and Madison. What do you have to say about this one, Nike?
I think that this one is probably the most fun series for me. Edmonton obviously has been a wagon, but I'm interested to watch HFFO do tactics against his former front office, and I think that there may be a little bit of gamesmanship that can happen there. I don't expect Madison to squeak out of the first round. I probably think Edmonton takes it handedly, but I will not be surprised if somehow HFFO snags a couple wins against the Blizzard.
Edmonton in 4. Yep.
Interesting.
This is the worst team in the playoffs, Madison is, and it's just because the Western Conference is garbage. Sorry, I'm just being legit.
You're not going to get an argument from me.
Just being legit.
There is a chasm, generally speaking, in the Western Conference between the top half and the bottom half of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm bitter or anything, but we had significantly more points than Madison, and we're not in the playoffs. So, oh boy, 4-0. It's not garbage. It's very top heavy. Sure. Whatever you guys need to say. Final series in the West, Denver and New Orleans. This series is very interesting to me. This is probably one that could go either way.
Yeah, this is the series to watch. Like every game, I think is going to be super close. I know that these two teams both have what it takes to win games. They proved that all season long. This is a 7-game series to me, no doubt, whichever way it goes.
Either way.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to give the edge to New Orleans just because I think that they have just top to bottom. And BV already said it, took the win out of my sails in the chat. So thanks for that. I'm not stealing this thought from you. I just think that they're deeper. I think that third line and that third D pair is going to be drastically better than what Denver can put out there. And I just think that probably gives them the edge. I do think that Denver probably has better tacticians. I think that they'll probably be able to cook up something. Maybe that might give them the edge in 7. No offense, Joe. But that's my pick. Is I think New Orleans in 7.
I think playoff hockey, New Orleans probably has the edge on the back end, and I agree. Like if it's going to come down to that, it's New Orleans in 7 for me.
Papa Soren says Nola in 5.
But both of these teams scare me. So if for whatever reason we ended up hitting them, like both of these teams, I would not be excited to play in a second or third round.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. There you have it. You have our Western Conference predictions for round 1. Next week when we record, hopefully we might have some conference final predictions or something. We'll find out. Eastern Conference. We'll start up, go top to bottom, just like we did in the West. First series to talk about, and that's going to be Tampa Bay Barracuda in the Manhattan Rage.
I think Manhattan had a great season. I think Tampa Bay loaded up at the deadline. They made a couple of deals. Obviously adding Leahy. They got the Leibold brothers and some depth defense from, was it Baltimore?
Yeah, it was Baltimore. Yeah,
and I think that's the difference maker here. Tampa Bay has been awesome. Man had a great season, but I just really think that TBB probably in 5 here.
Yeah, I've got the Barracuda taking this one at 6 because I gotta wonder how much the adaptation to the chemistry being changed at the deadline takes for them to really start rattling off some wins. And I think Manhattan, they stayed pretty static. They were pretty happy with their roster going into the postseason, and I think that may have something to do with it. But Nike bad, Caltrate says. Fanto, we can look at the Nashville series after you guys draft after us because we got the earlier draft pick and you're going to lose anyway. So, yeah, so that's my pick is Tampa Bay in, I don't even know what I said, 6. I'm going to say 6. There you go.
How does the index order the matchups anyways? Because we've got the 2 and the 7 on the Western Conference side is the first, and then we've got the 4 and the 5 as the first matchup on the East side.
Great question. All right, that's above my pay grade.
Who coded this? I want to speak to them.
Talk to the software engineers.
Yeah.
All right. Next one we have Philadelphia against Montreal, and this is an interesting matchup for me too. I think that Montreal's been they definitely kind of, I don't even want to say kind of, they drastically underperformed kind of what my expectations were for them this season, and maybe that primes them for a major upset.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I think the Montreal roster is really deep. I know they lost a fair bit in the expansion draft, but I think that they sputtered a little bit during the regular season, and this could probably be the most interesting series in the East for me. I think Montreal is a much better team than they showed during the regular season and have a pretty good chance to take this series. I would say I'd lean Montreal in 6.
Yeah, I'm going to go Philadelphia in 7. I think it's going to be a tight series, but I do think the Forge, their tacticians are really, really good. They've always been really, really good about maximizing the production out of their rosters. And but I do think it's going to be a really fascinating series to watch as it evolves. Third series in the East that we have listed here, we have the Hamilton Steelhawks against the New England Wolfpack. What are your thoughts on this one, Nike?
I think this is easy New England. I think they're probably going to roll pretty easy 4 or 5 games. Hamilton's just not there yet. Kind of I think that team's still really kind of working through the rebuild. They have had some folks that have stuck around, and that's probably a testament to why they're here. But that New England roster, top to bottom, just feels better to me.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? New England is a dominant team, and they have the best goaltender and going into the postseason, as far as I'm concerned right now. So, and goalies can be a big difference maker in the postseason. Finally, we have the Atlanta Inferno and the Cincinnati Six in the final matchup in the East. What do you got on this one?
I don't think this is the first series that gets us an expansion team to the second round. I think Atlanta probably pretty handedly, as much as it hurts. That's a really great team. I'm surprised that we don't have a Hotlanta comment in the chat, but I think that, again, 4 or 5 games, I think that one, that series probably pretty handedly goes in Atlanta's favor.
Atlanta in 6. Yes. I like that. So yeah, that leaves Nashville as the only expansion team that didn't make the postseason. So congratulations to the Sound. Really, you guys get that illustrious award. So that's cool. Pat myself on the back for that one there. But yeah, there you have it. You have our picks for the first round. It will be fascinating to see how that goes. I believe it starts tomorrow. When does it start?
Monday.
Okay, so it gives you enough time to get your drafts, or sorry, your playoff predictions in, and gives you that chance.
And gives the Simmers the weekend off, which they very much deserve.
Do we deserve weekends off?
They do. Those folks work hard all year.
Okay, so we do have some power rankings here. It was my daughter's calling.
Oh shoot, we didn't even get to build up the excitement.
No, we're just throwing it out there. So let me just change this. Sorry, my 8-year-old is calling me, which is lovely, from her iPad. So here you go. You have your power rankings. Number 1, Atlanta. Number 2, Chicago. Number 3, Edmonton. Number 4, Philadelphia. Number 5, New England. Number 6, Seattle. Number 7, Tampa Bay. Number 8, New Orleans. Number 9, Manhattan. And number 10, Denver. Nike, do you have the sheet that talks about the context behind it and everything?
I do. I'm just pulling that up so that I've got it in front of me.
We're going to go back to back, and I'll kind of start off and explain why we have Atlanta here as number one first, and then I'll hand it over to you for Chicago. So once again, shout out to Slicer, who does the data work behind this. So if you have any complaints, please don't direct them to us, direct them to Slicer, because we don't have time to hear about it. We didn't put it together. Number one, Atlanta. Atlanta has sat up top amongst the standings the whole season, and in the final week, they had a 13-win week against some pretty good competition. So they're number one at keeping the puck out of the net and third best about getting it in. There's a little more that you could ask for from Atlanta. Just a really dominant team from top to bottom.
Yep. I mean, I think Chicago comes in at number two. You could probably argue amongst these top three for sure. Chicago had 13 wins in the last week of the season, similar to Atlanta. I think the one overtime loss, getting the 27th point in the last week of the year. I think the one differentiator here between Chicago and Edmonton is if you look at the head-to-head between the two all year, Chicago swept the regular season against Edmonton this year. So we're splitting hairs here. Like, these top three teams are all pretty dang close. And that's, I think, probably why Slicer ended up with that nod for Chicago at 2 versus 3.
Yeah, I mean, Slicer is a member of Chicago, so it only makes sense that he put his team over Edmonton. So it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Number 3, the Edmonton Blizzard. So Edmonton, they finished first in the standings at the season's end. They had, one of the best teams entirely throughout the entire season. You looked at that plus minus, top to bottom, it looked like it was all Edmonton Blizzard. But in that final week of the season, which is what we're looking at it at. I know we've missed a few weeks on the episode, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at it on a week by week basis here. So in this final week, Edmonton had probably the easiest of those 3 teams for the schedule, and the other 2 teams just barely outperformed them. So goals against aren't bad, but the goal scoring that they're doing, they're the most dynamic offensive machine in the league. So Edmonton could have easily been selected number 1 or number 2, but they're going to get slotted at number 3 going into the postseason, according to our SHL Tonight power rankings.
And coming in at number 4, we've got the Forge. I think folks kind of would be surprised that I'm almost eating my words now. Just a few minutes ago, I didn't have all of the kind of information I think that we're even looking at right at the minute. And the Forge had 12 wins over the last week, even outpaced New England. Significantly harder schedule than some of those around them. They really probably would like a few more goals, but second best defensive team for the week, alongside New England, and they definitely worked hard to keep the puck out of the net. So that's why they slot in at number 4 for the power rankings for this week.
And number 5, we have the New England Wolfpack. New England was right around that 5th best team in the entire league, basically the entire season. So they're very, very consistent, which is a good thing because you know what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis. They had 10 wins in their final week, second best defensive team in the league and I'm not attributing it all to the goaltending performance, but the goaltender definitely pulls a lot of weight here in the goals against mitigation. So the goals for just aren't quite where it needs to be for them to be much higher up in the power rankings, but still a respectable 5th place performance.
Yeah, and coming in at number 6, we've got Seattle. Probably the biggest riser. If we had been consistent over the last couple of weeks, we probably would have seen Seattle all of a sudden shooting up. I think they were probably underperforming expectations right up until these last 2 weeks of the season, but they had a monstrous 17 wins this last week. Big wins over Chicago, big wins over Edmonton, to kind of shoot themselves up to 3rd in the Western Conference. I think, by far probably the most impressive performance over the last week of the season to land here at number 7.
Yeah, and at number
6 or number 7? Did I get it right?
You're at number 7 there for Tampa, right? Did you say Seattle?
I was talking about Seattle.
Yeah, so that's
6.
number 6.
Sorry.
Yeah, so number 7 is Tampa Bay. The Barracuda is the 4th and final team with 13 wins on the week, and they had a strong schedule. They're fifth for goals, but keeping the puck out of the net is a little bit of a challenge for them right now. So they're kind of trying to outscore their mistakes a bit, which can work in limited situations. Um, Final week saw them rise in the standings, which probably coincided with them going out and being active in the trade market at the deadline and really supplementing their roster and getting rid of a guy that has like 300 TP and sending him to Nashville. Um, so yeah, Tampa Bay is going to take the 7th spot in the power rankings before the postseason.
Coming in at number 8, we've got New Orleans Spectres, 11 wins this week. Pretty good schedule too. Like, I think that they faced a number of top teams. There was a couple of those Western bummer or teams that were kind of chugging up the rear. I don't know the nice way to say it. We really didn't have a great a great swath of teams there in the Western Conference, but Nola had a really great strong week here to finish. 11 wins is great, and they're just kind of on that second cusp, I think, as we talked about in the playoff preview. It's a team that could get hot and could be dangerous. They've got a great defensive core, strong goals for. But the question is, as we get into this kind of first round of the playoffs, can they keep up with the best of the best?
Yeah. Next up at number 9, we had the Manhattan Rage, who had a really strong season altogether. But unfortunately, they had them kind of sputtering a little bit down the stretch. Struggled a tiny bit. They only won 7 games this week, but the consistent season is good enough for them to kind of get a little bit of a nod to keep them in that top 10. And yeah, Chris is talking about it right there. I don't know, we're 9th in power rankings with the finish that we had. Strong goals for and against, but definitely right outside that top tier of teams going into the postseason.
And we're rounding out the top 10. We've got Denver right where they are in the standings. I think like perfectly fit. They came out of the gate really odd. I think if we had 2 weeks ago looked at power rankings, they're probably up near the top 5. They had a really great year scoring goals. I think, as we talked about earlier in the episode with Nickelback and the offense that they put together. Obviously, they made the deal at the deadline with the Chicago folks and sent ketchup back to Chicago. So definitely like a little bit more of a hedge for the longer term for Denver, but not surprised that they still are here rounding out the top 10. Like that's a strong roster. And like we talked about in the preview for the playoffs, like they've got a pretty good chance to make a run if they can get out of that first round matchup.
Yeah. And the final team that is we're going to acknowledge to just missed our top 10. That wonderful Mr. Irrelevant award goes to the Montreal Patriots. Congratulations. 10-win final week against some pretty good competition, which is good. Once again, I mean, we said it in our playoff preview. Like, this is a dark horse team, a team that's criminally underperformed in the regular season, and it wouldn't surprise me if they are able to absolutely turn it on when everything matters most and put together a pretty good run here in the postseason. So there you have it. Our power rankings. Was there any surprises from you guys, or for you, Nike? Was there any team that you thought would be there that wasn't?
I don't think so. I think if I was to put it together today, that's probably pretty close to how I personally would have Edmonton above Chicago. I just think that they blew the barn doors off of pretty much everybody else all year. But I can understand why they were up ahead of us. And then like the other team that definitely deserves to be up there at the top is New England. I just think that those top 4 or 5 teams all have a shot.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. So we're running out of topics for this episode here. But before we wrap up, maybe even a little bit early, because I want to go have dinner and I'm starving and it's ready upstairs. We have a few job postings that I want to make sure that we spend some time to highlight. First off, we have some prominent SHL GM positions that are now available. And first off, we'll talk about the Los Angeles Panthers GM role. And shout out to Whitecap and Reno. Whitecap had one of the most historic runs there with the LA Panthers with Rashford at his side. Really productive run as GM. He's a great teammate. I spent some time in the J on the same team as him. Really enjoyed our time doing that, but back in Kelowna, and just a great dude, and wish both him and Reno the very best of luck. And thank you for being such great ambassadors of our community and being great general managers and good role models for people that are trying to be better GMs too. So, but yeah, take a look at that job posting if you're interested in GMing. That job posting is open until Friday, July 25th. Probably giving you some time. Go ahead.
Remember, if you're on another SHL team, talk to your GM before you perhaps do that. Most GMs want to support you of making a jump to a cool position like being a GM, but just that open line of communication helps to make sure that everybody's planning in the same way, and that, remember, if you end up with that job, you're going to have to trade yourself if you're on another SHL team. So it makes it a little bit easier if you've kind of like floated the conversation a couple of weeks in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. Benefits for this job: you get $8 million per season, as well as an off-season pass, which covers the championship and all-star weeks. So reach out to HO with your GM's permission. If you don't have a GM right now, reach out to HO, send over that app, and maybe I'll be competing against you one day. That'd be really cool. So there you go. LA Panthers head GM job. Talk about your favorite former player, Bytor says. So my favorite former player, I don't know.
Is this our own players, or is this any player ever?
Any player that's ever played on our team, maybe?
Because there is a certain player that seems to have spawned in Gen Chat yesterday, I believe, that is part of a illustrious season 20 class that I am excited might be coming back to the league, and that is Mr. Bojo Biscuit.
That's excellent. Yeah, I had Bojo in Winnipeg while he was still IA, but back in the day, Bojo was a legend. Blocky hockey, you remember that? The game he was developing?
Yes. Oh, Nathan Russell is a great call-up. Pretty Burn spent a lot of time with us in New England.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Pretty Burn. There's so many good people. I still miss Dangle, which was a friend of mine in New England before he passed, but just like a really close guy that I really enjoyed spending time with. We were always in Discord voice after hours. So, and he disappeared one day and we found out why. So that was rough. Anyways, moving on. Yes, this is a great call.
Yes.
Queen Andre Kostitsyn. Absolutely a great call. Love that. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about this one. So the other one, another head GM job is available now. Dwight Knight, Hockey is Cool, informed the league and head office that he is stepping down. This is a heck of a run for Dwight. I feel like he's GM Tampa Bay for like 20-something seasons. This is a number I'm pulling out of my ass, but I feel like he's been there forever now.
Yeah.
And just really impressive run. Built a competitive team almost on an annual basis. I feel like these last 15 seasons just hasn't been able to, unfortunately, get over the hump as a cup winner. But really enjoyed working with him, working alongside him. And congratulations on a good run. And your legacy as GM will definitely be, remembered in Tampa Bay. Any thoughts on Dwight's departure in Tampa, Nike?
I think we're losing 3 GMs that are a great part of our GM head office kind of team. Bummed to see them go. I think with all of that said, this is kind of a great opportunity for folks who are interested in GM to kind of like take that next step. And as disappointing as it is to lose folks that are great to work with, this is kind of 2 teams or franchises that are juxtaposed to one another in terms of like where they are. So a GM could potentially, if you're interested in stepping into a team that's established and in the playoffs and like in that top couple of teams in their conference, that Tampa Bay opening is pretty attractive. Versus on the other hand, if you are looking to build something from the ground up, LA just has basically started their rebuild. We're stepping into this position now where they're going to have a good handful of draft picks. They still got a couple of assets left, but like really that's building your own team, building your own culture. So it's a great balance, I think, if folks are interested in being a GM, and it's kind of like choose your character. Do you want to be the established team? Do you want to be I'm going to build it? That's a good opportunity. This is a great offseason for it.
Absolutely. Yep. So 2 massive head GM roles that are open for you to go out and apply to. And the other thing to keep in mind is that you get your opportunity to hire your own co-GM too, if you get those jobs. So you can really put together your own little administration there. So additionally, if you haven't really GM'd before and you really wanted to maybe dip your toes in the water and learn what GMing is like and managing lines and putting together a roster and all that kind of stuff, a great opportunity for you would be the World Junior Championship GMs, who are also hiring right now. Kari is hiring for a lot of different teams. You have USA Blue, USA White, the Rhine team, Canada Red, Canada Black, Finland, Latvia, British Isles, Sweden, Team World, Norway, and Czechia. So all of these teams are going to need a GM, and it's a great way to kind of just figure out how GMing works. Compensation for this is $2 million. And there's a bonus on getting on the final podium. So if you finish top 3, you get a nice little bonus in your account as well. So that is available in the job thread. There is a special rule book here, and I will say that the World Junior Commissioners are all very welcoming. And if you ever have any questions on how things work, it's not like you're thrown into the deep end of the pool. This is a very supported learning environment. So it's a great opportunity to make a little bit of cash and kind of learn how GMing's like.
Yeah, it's GM light, right? Like you're building a roster, you're building a team, you got to put your lines together, you're doing tactics and FHM, but you don't have to deal with like putting the budget together. You don't have to deal with trading players or doing the draft, which can be like a bit of a drag if that's not what you're willing to sign up for, like that commitment. So this is a great opportunity to like do some of the GM stuff, get a little bit more experience in FHM, build a team, build a culture, right? That like these are like it's a little mini start of being a GM. So it's a great thing to try. I know that Tripp in Chicago has done it for the last couple of seasons and had a really great experience. I think BV was World Junior Classic GM as well. Like there's obviously a lot of folks have had a great experience and have done it, have used it as a stepping stone to get to either a JGM or a SHL GM job.
Absolutely true. Yeah, being my co-GM is the hardest job though in the entire league because I don't do anything. I just make my co-GM do everything.
I don't know. Back in the day, you weren't that hard to work for. I don't know how it's changed now, but a long time ago, it was pretty easy. You just let me ride by.
Yeah, not that I give people free rides anymore. No, things have changed. Things have changed. All right.
It was a little bit less competitive then. We were like 8 teams or whatever.
I know. It's just here for the vibes, man. Just here for the vibes. All right, that covers everything for today's episode. On behalf of the SHL broadcast team, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Really love all the chatter in the chat today. Really, really appreciate that. Gives us other things to kind of talk about. We are planning on being live again next week. We will have some content around the playoffs to talk about and whatever maybe other agenda items maybe come up. As always, we do have our question thread on the forum. So if you have some topics you want us to talk about, by all means, pop in there, throw in your questions, your comments, your insults. I believe HIF will be back next week as well. So we'll have the 3 of us. So, and moving forward, Nike's a full-time member of the podcast here, guys. So it's going to be us 3 moving forward, and save your bald jokes for next week, and we'll catch you then. Any closing thoughts, Nike?
Catch SMJHL tonight at 9 p.m. Stick around. I hope that they have as much action in the chat as we did, probably more because you folks are more interested in what they've done today than the 2 of us.
They're better anyway. Yeah. All right, guys. We will catch you next time.
See ya.
Peace.